Good morning, good evening, or good night, folks. I'm your host, Timon Redhand, and welcome back to Gaming Redhanded. Today we're going to be discussing the Way of Winter patch 1.3 dev live stream that went down last night. I'm going to be going through these segments one by one, giving you guys the good, the bad. We're about to get started, but before we do that, make sure you guys like the video, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, help a brother out. There were 3 codes given out during yesterday's live stream. They're on the screen somewhere at this time, so you guys don't have to go too far to hunt for them. They're also going to be written down in the comments section below, so you guys can easily find them, copy and paste them, get your star crom. Twitch drops are starting on October 17th when the Way of Winter begins, and it runs all the way till November 17th. It's giving away 4 items: a deviated black cat with the winter hat, a purple pumpkin that goes into your building territory, and 2 masks. I think that's all the free stuff out of the way, so let's start talking about what you guys came here to see. They explain the heat mechanics. We're going to be out there managing our temperature resist. First, we're going to be dealing with the cold, then we're going to be dealing with the extreme heat. We're doing this in several ways. First, going back to survival basics of building a campfire. Also, building a camping tent also helps increase your cold and heat resistance in the early game. You also have to manage a torch. You're going to be spending more time paying attention to this active campfire, making sure that it's well lit so that your temperature is always managed. When you're crafting your gear going forward, you're going to be using certain hides to help adjust your thermal thresholds. There's a few other items they've introduced like coldium, thermium, and hedium. These things are put in your backpack, and while you keep them on you, it either increases or decreases your temperature thresholds. I was incorrect about the venue forward. It is not a new banner, but a new zone. However, they let us know that the new Way of Winter area is a completely new map. It's not a connection or extension of the current map, so that means you won't be able to do the old content and traverse the new content. They've made it clear that this is a completely new area altogether, so we'll be losing access to all the original content and the original monoliths and stuff and bosses. There's gonna be new silos to replace that, and a new monolith boss to replace that. They've shown a sneak peek of some of that, but we don't know the total of monoliths or silos, so we're not sure just yet if we've lost content or gained content in terms of the amount of dungeons and silos we're able to do to gear up. What I've been seeing though, they've combined silos in terms of what their drops are. So silos will now carry multiple drops. Before it was just this silo specialized in masks, this one specialized in helmets. Now they're gonna be specialized in gloves and masks, boots and pants, so on and so forth, which means it's gonna take longer for you to properly get your mods together. And they've made no mention of increasing the controller. They've made it harder for your character to get geared up. Do not be surprised when you get into Way of Winter and you notice that you're not getting enough gear, you're not getting enough mods, because the requirement for getting your gear together has been increased exponentially. Gone into further detail about the scenario exit feature they'll be adding on the October 17th. This feature is going to allow you to leave a server if you join it early and you decide you don't want to stay on there any longer. They say if you leave within 24 hours, there's going to be no penalty. However, after 24 hours, you will have to buy a special token from the item mall with the Mythicos mark, so it's essentially free. This token will allow you to leave a server the same way you would do when you sign up for a new scenario. It will put all your stuff into Eternal Land. However, this has a 60-day cooldown. Now, there's still some tactics to be used here. If you know what server you want to be on, there is a tactic to be used where you could go to a phase 5 server, whatever, jump on there, get all your gear together, get the quick star crom from doing all the 5 phases, and then use your 60-day transfer to jump over to the server you want to be on, and you could do that every 60 days or so. So there is some value here for people who understand how to properly use this to farm star crom, but it's very clear they went out of their way to make sure that you cannot just hop around servers. We're going to go through, I managed to get a hold of all the other weapons that have been announced. I'm going to show screenshots of them and kind of read their effects out, but I'm going to do a completely different video looking at these guns in detail and then theory crafting what items and builds you can put together with them. Just in case you guys want to hit the Way of Winter season with one of these weapons, you can start farming the mods now to take them over with you, because like I said, it's going to be much harder to get these mods if you try to do it during the Way of Winter season. Remember guys, like the video if you haven't already. Let's take a look at the first one. Now, I've been able to get all these images from MattyGorm's video. Over to his channel, feel free to subscribe to his stuff. He's got some good things over there. He's also has some exclusive access to some of the Way of Winter footage, which I don't have. So you might be able to go over there and see some stuff that he's been live streaming for the past couple of hours since the event has gone live. Now, don't pay too much attention to the base damage of this weapon. It's still the same tier system. It's still going to upgrade from tiers 1 to 5 with calibrations. But the only thing that matters right now are these base weapon features. Pyroclasm Starter is as follows. The weapon features are: shots have an 18% chance to trigger burn. Shots have a 15% chance to generate a deviated particle, which can be picked up to enter a charged state after 4 stacks. Upon reloading, expand all charge stacks to add Dragon's Breath ammunition until the next reload. Dragon's Breath attacks deal blaze elemental weapon damage equal to 80% attack, 80% burn damage bonus applies. Each charge stack expands increases blade damage by additional 10%. This is fantastic. This is a very cool weapon, and this is also the first weapon to actually deal full-on elemental damage. The previous burn weapons, power surge weapons just triggered it. This one actually allows your ammo to do burn damage. So this is gonna be a game changer. This is much stronger than people are gonna realize, because you can actually go out of your way to properly ramp up and scale burn damage. This is not elemental damage and status damage. And you're gonna finally see that differentiation between elemental and status damage. Because I'm going to assume elemental damage is gonna be the bullet damage, whereas status damage is gonna be that damage over time burn damage. Right? This is just me theorizing right now. The next weapon on the list is the M416 Silent Anabasis. A lot of people have been waiting for this M416. I'm not really too excited about it because it's a Frost Vortex weapon, but let's go through and read what the weapon features are. Shots have a 10% chance to trigger Frost Vortex. Hitting the target with Frost Vortex generates an ice crystal with a cooldown of 3 seconds. Ice crystals automatically shatter after 15 seconds, dealing frost elemental status damage equal to 140% psi intensity to nearby targets. Frost Vortex damage bonus applies. Ice crystals can be shattered by shooting them, which increases the damage they deal by 420% psi intensity. If you guys aren't hearing these numbers, this is crazy strong, especially since Frost Vortex has a unique that vacuums all targets in together. This is crazy AoE burst. A lot of people aren't going to see this early on because Frost Vortex has been kind of a support role from the beginning of the game, but this is insanely powerful. Frost elemental damage plus 20%, plus an additional 10% for every ice crystal shattered for 15 seconds. This weapon's strong. Like, this is crazy strong. I definitely will check it out. So the final weapon we're going to talk about is the MG4 Conflicting Memories. Weapon features are as follows: trigger shrapnel after 12 hits for every 50 magazine capacity. Parts hit by shrapnel plus 1. What? I don't even know what that means. It's the wording is so weird on it. It feels like a Google Translate thing. What I want to say is after 12 hits, it triggers shrapnel, and after every 50 bullets spent, you get an additional plus 1 shrapnel. I want to say that that's what it's saying, but it reads like gibberish. For every 15 magazine capacity in excess of 100, shrapnel damage plus 8%, magazine capacity plus 40. This weapon's very basic. Stack magazine capacity, you'll get more damage. Shrapnel to me is boring. I don't really like building on it. That thing is a garbled mess. It needs to be retranslated. Weapon itself has an interesting look. I'm not a fan of these colors. I don't know why it has once human on the actual magazine itself, but otherwise, it's shrapnel. It's an MG4. Stack magazine capacity. Go nuts. They've changed how territory purification works. They talked about expanding the hive size to 16 players and wanting people to build together, kind of like a huddle for war community type situation, where you have this centralized territory purifier and you can choose whether or not it's going to focus on increased crop growth, increased oil production, acid, things like that. And then as you feed this thing and it gets warmer, it starts calling on these chaos weavers and they're going to come and attack it. It didn't say the intervals. I'm going to assume it's following the weekly purification intervals, and the Prime War style version is just a bigger, grander scale where you fight bigger, grander chaos weavers. I have no opinion on this just yet. I personally hate territory purification. I think it's boring. If they made it more interesting, cool. It better drop loot besides Starcrom. It better drop actual gear. It better drop mods. And if it doesn't, then it's one of those things where I hope it's not too much of a nuisance. They've added 7 more Deviants. I'm gonna throw the video up of the new Deviants here. I'm not gonna bother guessing what they do. When they come out in detail, I'll cover them. Otherwise, you know, they're cute, they're cool. Collect them all, like Pokemon. Don't sue me, Nintendo. I think that's it. I don't know if there's anything else to go over. I think I covered everything that actually matters. I'm on the fence about this update. There's still things here I just simply do not like. I really wish they decided to keep both maps together, because I really wanted the ability to start from the original map, do all those original strongholds, and then traverse to the north when I feel like I'm ready. I get the idea behind them starting a new zone, but all I'm seeing is that they shrunk the content down, because the game is supposed to be building on itself, and yet it keeps overriding its mechanics. There's no more hard mode, so there's no void or balance mobs. Even though they weren't good, it was a starting point where it's like, I hope you guys expand on this feature. I hope they're not completely gone from the game. So far, it sounds like they are. Hopefully I get proven wrong by that. I was hoping for the ability to have more stuff to do, but now when they swip the maps over, we've lost access to the initial silos, we lost access to the initial monoliths, and now we have new ones. But when you put an expansion out, you're supposed to be expanding the content, not overriding it, right? This is one of the main reasons I played Path of Exile for a decade. Every time they do a new league and a new mechanic, that league finds its way in the core. So the game keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger on itself, whereas this game, it's replacing its content. They're still doing the phase system, which every time I talk about this system, it irritates me. I don't understand the point behind it. For the first 7 days, it's going to be you twiddling your thumbs. It's going to take me about an hour to figure out their survival mechanics. I don't think it's that complicated. It'd probably take me a few hours to set up a proper way of combating what's coming up in terms of the animals I gotta farm, whatever memetics I gotta unlock and create, and whatever I gotta do to make sure that the heat is no longer a threat. And then after that, I'm gonna be spending 3-4 days just twiddling my thumbs because I'm gonna have nothing to fucking do. And it's been the same issue with all 3 seasons. The fact that they've locked off hard modes until week 2, they've locked off pro modes until week 3. I already don't waste my controllers because they're limited resources. I've talked about it in different videos. Controllers are a big problem if you're serious about gearing your character. I am not kidding when I say that they have made the grind much harder. There's a reason why you don't farm Leo Labs for mods, because Leo Labs drops everything. So you were supposed to farm silos and monoliths to target farm what pieces you want. The fact that they've combined multiple pieces into the multiple silos, and I'm seeing 2 pieces at a time, 3 pieces at a time, tells me that there's not a lot of silos and there's not a lot of monoliths. I'm going to assume they've reduced that number by at least half. I hope I'm proven wrong by that, but I don't think I am. So you're gonna be farming much more. You're gonna have to do the dungeon a lot more times to get the mods you want. You're gonna have to need more fodder to use the mod conversion system in order to make up for the fact that you're not getting the mods you want. And then you're not gonna have the controllers to keep up with it. Every one of the early access providers I've seen so far, they've had like a handful of controllers, 8-9 controllers on them. To me, I look at that as like, if I'm making a new build around guns I don't have before, and there's new mods and there's new values I need to go after, it's gonna take a while to actually do this. And they're still not addressing the fact that they're not giving you any controllers. 56 a week. That's how many controllers you get each week doing everything. And that was with the old system. With the new change way winner, my ultimate checklist guide is probably invalid now because the entire map is changing. I'm gonna guess if you bid on to an older server, you can make use of it, but I don't know how many controllers you get a week. Hopefully it's more than 56. Hopefully it's infinite. We're gonna have to wait and see. But so far with the current system, I'm telling you right now, when I get on there, it's the same shit where I'm waiting around and doing nothing and twiddling my thumbs until pro mode, which is 2 weeks, 2 phases past. I'm done with this. I'm done with it. Because they're not learning. Maybe I'm not the target audience here. Maybe they don't want people who are willing to put in a grind and really experiment with builds and cool, interesting interactions. Maybe they just want people who want to do a fashion show. Just want to buy loot crates all day and build their house and decorate their house and then wander around the area looking at scenery and taking pictures. But for people who want to play the game seriously, you cannot do that. The builds aren't complex. You cannot grind out to make them complex. You cannot experiment to min-max. You really are heavily limited on what you're allowed to do in this game in the long run. And it's really starting to grate on my nerves, and they haven't addressed any of that. When it comes to the lag, they believe they fixed the lag. So October 17th, they think they've addressed the issues. We'll see what that looks like when we get there. They talked about they're not increasing the level cap. They just plan on changing the memetics out. Hopefully that's good enough. I don't think it will be. I think the level cap has to be increased at some point. I think you need more options. I think not that you need more options for memetics. I think that more things need to be added to the skill tree. They shouldn't be RNG generated. Like a lot of these like Forest Foe and Moonlight Pickaxe and the rest of this shit, Solar Drill, I don't think these should be memetics. I think they should just be in the tree somewhere. Or I think they should be found blueprints that are temporary for the season. But they're things that like, they're one-time crafts and you don't need them anymore. So having them take up a memetic slot that could be something cool is not, I don't think it's good design. I think that some of these things should be interspersed throughout the world to be as loot. I think it'd be much cooler if solar drills just dropped as items, and they could drop as, you know, the tier 1 or tier 3 version of them, and then you would have something to sell to the economy. I think these moonlight axes should just drop. I think these backpack expansions and gravel and gold and the rest of these things should just drop. Just to have them drop on as you're grinding, so you have a reason to grind. I don't think these are interesting things to be in mimetics. I think they should reconsider how they do this mimetic system. I think they should actually think of items to be in the loot table, because the only items that people care about right now are Starcrom related items. So the things that come with blueprints, weapons, and armor. And because Starcrom is limited to these weekly events or other specific activities in the game, when you farm strongholds, you're only doing it to clear the objective, but you don't want to go there and farm it because it's like, who cares? I don't find resources hard to maintain. Maybe every now and then certain resources are hard to keep up with, but for the most part, you don't need to go to strongholds after you've cleared them the first time. After you clear them the first time, you find the highest tier stronghold that has the materials that you need to repair your gear, and you only do some short loop around that. I think this game has really hurt itself on the looter aspect of it because it doesn't have any loot, and it needs to find out what items should be lootable. I think those fabrics they've added in Prison vs. Clash should be lootable. I think the drones should be lootable. I think the gravel and goes and the rest of those temporary Mac packs should be lootable. I think the game needs a loot table. It needs stuff to aspire to, and it doesn't have it. I'm teetering on the fence, but I'm still on this side of I'm probably done with this game. I'm going to play the first week of the Way of Winter, but honestly, I'm not impressed with what they've shown me so far. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you like what you've seen so far? Are any of these blueprints calling out to you? Are any of these new features calling out to you? Do you think that they've done enough to make you stay around for another season? I don't know. I'd love to see where people's heads are at right now. Subscribe to the channel. I got a lot more content coming out. I got a lot more builds coming out. Those guns themselves have me kind of excited. I hope I stick around long enough to check it out, because I do want to theory craft a lot of these guns out, especially that Pyroclasm shotgun. That gun looks amazing to me. I think it looks like a lot of fun. Have yourselves a good morning. And if this is the only video you watch me today, a good afternoon or a good night.